So, yeah, that's way too quiet. I was considering today not recording this because like I was planning on it, but then I felt like not doing it because I don't know, I'm in a bit of a better state, but I also don't feel much of anything. So, not in like the bad way where I might feel genuinely nothing and it's not good. Instead, it's like nothing negative is happening. It's like nothing's going on. And it's a really weird state to be in. And I guess I'm doing better. It's like if I'm not paying attention to anything enough, not feeling things enough to truly be content, but it's similar. Nothing bad is happening right now. But I was not doing so good yesterday. So, I wanted to make a thing about that. I also had some screenshots of like messages earlier of like when I actually got to talk about some of these things in the past, because like you have to remember I have talked about some of this stuff with people. It's just it's not very common anymore, not very often. But yeah. So like, I want to explain some of the pictures in my sketchbook as well as I talk about the story, because I draw in here a lot when I'm upset. So you'll see like a bunch of normal pages of random doodles or things I planned out, and then an entire page of just like despair. Look at these two things side by side. This one's like a bit of a newer. They're both newer pages. Here's another one. This one's like a planned thing. This one has been made for a while. It's one of the good pages, a good point in time. So, yesterday, I don't entirely remember a lot of it, honestly, but I just remember I was feeling terrible in the morning, and then, I don't like, as some of you might know, I don't like using people's real names on this channel, especially since, like, any of them could find this channel at any time, so I want them to know that, like, I'm not gonna say some incriminating stuff for them ever, and I don't want them knowing about other people. So my friend Albino, he showed up in my first block today because both of our first blocks are right next to each other practically. There's technically a class in between, but like we don't know anyone in that class. So he shows up and I'm feeling terrible. I'm thinking of like going to the far end of the middle class where I usually go when I don't want to be near anyone. But then I realized, like, eventually that ends every time I go to do that on like a bad day because a lot of my friends sit near there. So once they all show up, suddenly I'm right next to all of them, trying to ignore everything. It's way more difficult. So I'm off to the side. He genuinely almost can't see me when he walks in because there's like a divider in the way, and so he sees me, and I'm talking to Bailey about this stuff. I told him about some things before, I think. Yeah, I did. I think I was literally thinking in my head that like he probably showed up to like check on me because he knew I wasn't doing so good. So today's the 11th. It's the day before yesterday. Yeah, I was telling him about how my fish died, and that made me realize this could be a sign that things are turning terrible. And then I was, but like, and then I told him about how my dog had finally gotten taken away. It was really saddening. And the day before that was talking about the whole, like, having to raise myself for a few months. So yeah, he had good reason to check on me if that's what he was doing. Because every time he shows up, he doesn't do it often. He does it, at most once a month, So, it's not very often, but every time he does it, it's to see me. So, Albino comes in, and we're talking about some stuff. And I'm telling him about how, like, I've just been showing up depressed each morning for, like, most of the school day. For so many days, so often I'll show up like that. And It's not fun, especially when your first class is theater. Being depressed in a class like that never gets you very far. So I always gotta just like mask that shit so that I can have enough energy on stage. It's tough. It's tough. Um, but I was talking to him about like some of my friends. One of my friends I don't even have a nickname for, so I don't know what to really. I could just put like the contact name for this person, honestly. Let's talk about how like it's just that this one friend is becoming really annoying, and Signat is really stupid, and Doodles is really unhuman now. As I was saying that, I was getting weird looks around me, especially saying Doodles is unhuman. Everyone loves this person. Everyone admires and looks up to Doodles in that class. And I've become less and less friends with this person gradually. Like, this was my best friend through last year, and I don't know if like any of the recent videos talked about it, but like weird drift I've been having from them, how like I used to talk to them about my mental state and I don't anymore because here's what I mean by unhuman. Like, let me explain all of them properly. The first one I was talking about, I really need a way to refer to this person. I've never thought of something like this. How about you just say like orange? I've referred to a few of my friends by color nicknames before. We'll just say orange. So there's a meaning behind that. That might just be their name from now on. Orange, a few days ago, I was feeling terrible. I was really depressed that day and very low energy, and I stayed like that for like most of the day. And it was Orange's birthday. I don't like birthdays. I'm not used to it because I had to just lay on the whole information of this stuff on one of my friends a few days ago, like a day or two after this happened, just because like it was really bugging me. Like, I don't like celebrating my own birthday. My mother will just like, that'll be the one day of the year where my mother can justify trying to act like the most kindest person in the world and shove a camera on my face all day and expects me to be able to put up such high energy that I've never put any other day in the entire year. I'm not going to be able to do that. So I dread that day every year. I do not enjoy it at all. And so I don't like having it recognized at all. So I don't tell anyone about that day. I don't tell people when my birthday is. They keep asking me how old I am. One day I'm just going to eventually be a different age than I said a week before. And they're going to be wondering, what happened? Was it recently? I'll never tell people what day it is, though. And with that said, I look weird. Okay, I don't like when I'm being sang the song. I don't like how the song sounds in general, so when I'm in public and someone at like the other side of a restaurant is having it sang to them, I hate it. I hate the way the word there's like certain words that feel weird in my mouth, like the word love and the word you, both of them separately. Whenever I have to actually use them in a sentence, they feel weird. Words like that. So there's the word boot, but that's because it's hard for me to pronounce. Whatever. Yeah, like birthday. The way I pronounced it, that's not even how I say it in my internal monologue. I say that with an accent, because I don't say that word. It feels weird to me. The reason it has an accent in my head is because my parents, they have an accent, so if I hadn't been around a bunch of white friends who love talking about their birthdays, I would be saying it with an accent. People love that day for some reason, though. It doesn't mean anything. Mini rant. So yeah, I don't really like celebrating it, and I don't like acknowledging the idea of that holiday, and I'm not used to saying this. So while I'm already very low energy and depressive on that day, my friend is getting upset that I don't say happy birthday. I'm just like, I see, that felt weird saying it right there. I don't know if you noticed that. It's like, I just didn't want to say it. I'm sorry. And then my other friend, shit, he doesn't have a alias either. I met him in astronomy club. What if I just call him astronomy? Yeah, fuck it. We're making up nicknames now. So I've got both Orange and astronomy both like yelling at me like, say happy birthday, say it. I don't want to. So I just go silent. I don't say anything. And I'm really fucking stressed out about that. And like for a lot of that day, I'm panicky. Anyways, so that's not help. And then suddenly I go into the class. Orange is telling everyone about this shit, about how I didn't say it, or at the very least it feels like that. I will acknowledge that it's possible she didn't go around trying to spread that through the entire class, and that's just how I felt, being panicky. I will admit that I'm a very paranoid person. Never mind what my report says, saying I don't have heavy paranoia. I didn't get to talk about every detail with my shrink weeks ago. Whatever. So yeah, there's that. But like, Orange has a good home life, good relationship with her parents, and does not seem stressed out about a lot of things ever. Doesn't have a bad mental health. Never noticed her like that. So she doesn't notice this stuff. So I just can't deal with it. This is that friend I nearly started yelling at and cussing out when I was heavily medicated one day. I just get really pissed off at her. I don't know why. I just do. So, she'll have such high energy, and she would be like saying things that like, the only explanation for why I'm acting a certain way is because I'm fucking depressed on the day. That's why I'm seeming so sad or unjoyful or so unenergetic. But she will get upset at me for it, or like make fun of me. Don't call me, or like insult me. Like, don't call me a buzzkill when clearly there was stuff going on. And it's not like I said nothing. I say in the group chat that this person responds in all the time about stuff that's happening. And you're gonna act like it's just like I'm just an unpleasant person. I just don't want to deal with them. And like generally, hearing them say things to your class, she really annoyed me for some reason. I don't know why. Now let's talk about Signat. I'm saying this like I'm making a gossip presentation before I flee the country. And now for our next person. Signat doesn't know how to comprehend this kind of stuff. He's only vaguely noticed things happening, but doesn't know how to deal with this happening to someone else. So a few times it'll be just me and him in a conversation when he notices something, but usually it's me, him, and Squimpy, our other friend. That nickname was made a few weeks ago. Not a few weeks ago, a few months ago? I don't know. It's one of the recent ones. Squimpy, it will be us three. Squimpy asks me if something's wrong, because Squimpy also has depressive disorder and anxiety. Something I really thought I had. So she can notice this kind of stuff. So she asked me if something's wrong, and Signat's making a fucking joke out of it. Like, he doesn't notice this stuff or know how to deal with it when clearly something's going on. And Squimpy will be genuinely concerned, but not know really how to ask about it. I guess just because I don't know how to talk about it, so I don't go too deep into it. So, oh yeah, on this, yeah, there's really one spot I can show about this. On this page, you'll see, I could probably just edit this zoomed in. Here, it shows me on the edge of the stage at like the start of class. And Squimpy will be asking me what's wrong, and I don't know how to respond. And then Signet's just cracking a joke. Literally, it was like yesterday, before Albino showed up. I was spacing out heavily and just dissociating. And Signet was wondering why I was staring at a bunch of chairs looking all depressed. He was like, oh, I get it. It's because we're taking the chairs down now that the performance is done with drama. Now is not the time. I don't know if it's possible he's just trying to make things, he's just trying to make me feel better when he doesn't know what's happening. But it really feels like he just genuinely wanted to crack a joke. And, like, that's just what he does before paying attention to anything that's going on. So it's like, he doesn't understand what's going on. And Doodles, this person who I heavily put my trust in, the only person before Albino found this stuff out, the only person who I told about the previous medication, prescription abuse, and self-harm, and a lot of this stuff. The last few times I told them about some of my problems, I had to call them directly because I noticed it happening while at home. And they seemed so casual and carefree when I was talking about it, and it felt so weird. I didn't know why they were acting like this. When I was literally telling them about how I had, like, I think I had actually cut myself when I called them about this stuff. And they seemed so casual about it. That was when I started really looking into myself and realizing the only reason I used to cut myself was out of frustration. I didn't do it to feel anything. I did it because I was upset and I didn't know how to deal with that. So I haven't done it in a while, just because I never felt I got to that point, or I just felt like I wasn't worth the trouble. Very negative thing to say about yourself. But if it works, it works. So, nothing on my skin. I've been clean for months. If you look at certain lighting very closely at certain spots, you can see marks, but you would never be able to tell. Like, genuinely. So, I remember one time over summer, I was with them and they seemed genuinely so upset at me, and I was doing really bad mentally, so that didn't help. I think I did call them in between that, maybe, I don't remember, and like, I don't know, it felt weird. And adding that onto recently, as I've been feeling terrible, he hasn't noticed. Like, Signal will see something's up and crack a joke. Squimpy will ask me what's going on. Orange will see that I'm low energy and just think that's just me on an off day or something. In an insulting way at times. But still, they at least see I'm not my normal self. Doodles never says anything. Heck, all month, I don't think I've had a conversation with this person in person. They haven't noticed any of this stuff or asked me about this stuff. They turn a blind eye when multiple people are talking to me about this. So I said that they were unhuman. That got me a lot of weird looks, and I'm really scared it's going to be spread around the class that I'm like gossiping about these people that I'm supposed to be friends with, and especially what I said about this person. And I'm really scared that's going to be spread around the class. And that day, of course, was very depressive and even a bit anxious and worried and stressed about a lot of stuff. It really didn't help. These drawings at the bottom I started drawing those when realizing I'm gonna be on my own. 6 months I'll have to raise myself and keep this house going on my own. And I started drawing this to show my spiral into insanity. This stuff just keeps piling up, and how I'm already being like heavily misunderstood. Things are just gonna get worse, and inside my head, things are gonna get worse too. So I kept adding on to this. See above it, I don't think I had no, I drew this earlier today. If you can see it very well. Me in the center there. Orange, Signat, Doodles. Here's the thing. I was starting to get a bit better by the end of that class. Just a bit. And suddenly, Squimpy, I already knew some things I knew about Squimpy. Lately, Squimpy will occasionally show up very, be very depressed and suicidal even. And it really worries me. She's the reason I decided to avoid thinking thoughts about Elliot entirely. If she goes, I'm crying for a full month. I do not want something to happen to her. Here's the thing. A while ago, she brought in a Diet Coke bottle. She says that she brings that in sometimes whenever she hasn't been able to take her meds. You know, ADHD, autism, depression, anxiety. She'll bring that in to keep her energy up and keep her sane. And gradually she's become very possessive about it. Like, it's really important to her. And so when she can't find it, or when it's been misplaced for a second, it'll really upset her. And honestly, it kind of makes me feel bad whenever she can't find it. Like, a few days ago, like last week, she genuinely lost it for the entire class. She couldn't get it back. And so the rest of the day, she had to go without it. And I felt really bad. We had no idea where it went, what happened to it, who took it maybe. So, I drew this of her while she was spacing out, and me and one of my friends, we saw that she was spacing out, not looking very good, and I see her like this a lot, and that's when I know that she's like contemplating a lot of stuff, because it started to become a habit. So I'm really concerned. And then she whispers under her breath after a while, I don't think I can do this anymore. I'm just like, don't say that. It's like, I'm really worried. And like, we didn't have school today. She said this on Monday. Today's Tuesday. We don't have school. I haven't seen her all day. Anything could have happened and I wouldn't know until tomorrow. I'm really worried. So I also drew a Diet Coke bottle above to represent her mental state. I'm really worried for this person. You'll note that on these pages, there's a few different ways of writing. There's this weird shorthand I made that I've been developing for a few years. It's still evolving, actually, technically. That I originally did some symbols to write faster and some symbols just to save space, so I write that, but like I feel like some words are easier to read than others, so sometimes instead of writing things in that, like I use these two things when I write things I don't want people reading, so a lot of my mental health stuff that I write in here is using it. So I have that, and then in other spots I have an entirely different alphabet that Squimpy actually made. Squimpy taught it to Doodles, and then I secretly taught myself how to read it before I convinced her to fully teach me, because I didn't have all the letters. I just had most of them. So now I fully read this thing. I write in that sometimes. The reason I switch between the two instead of just sticking to one is because, like, sometimes because, like, if I showed it, some of these pages to those two friends who can read it, there's some things that I'd be okay with them reading that other people won't, and there's some things I don't want them reading at all. So shorthand, no one can read. That alphabet, they're able to read it. You can see it used right there. I could translate what I'm saying, but then you'd be able to understand this alphabet. I won't ruin that. I was explaining this because I was planning on translating what that says, but I think it's best to keep that hidden. So yeah, then it was weighing on me for like a while throughout that day that, like, my friend is noticeably more suicidal than before, and that really freaks me out. Because recently, she's been bringing that Diet Coke bottle in every day. She hasn't taken her meds in weeks. That's scary. So. Out of the group of friends I have in that class, again, there's the annoying one who isn't fully noticing this stuff. There's the stupid one, the unhuman one. I don't tell her my problems because she's got enough to worry about. I don't know I don't exactly know what's got her suicidal. But if she's not telling me, I'm not gonna press on. I just really hope that doesn't happen, you know? The top of this page, there's just these legs. It was not really a silhouette, just a person that wasn't real that I saw that I thought was like, I'm really like, I'm having a bad day. That's when me seeing things, my psychosis gets stronger. Diagnosed psychosis now. But whenever I'm like really depressed or stressed out, they'll start looking more and more like people. I always describe them before as like exaggerated beings. They become less exaggerated the more stressed I am. They start looking like actual people, and I think people are actually walking up to me, and I just want to be alone. So it freaks me out. This time it wasn't a silhouette though. I saw like a few days ago, I saw like the dark sort of corridor in my house when I was really stressed. A full person. And it freaked me out. It wasn't a silhouette, it was a full person. I couldn't describe the clothing though. It was weird. It wasn't correct. And then they were gone, and it freaked me out. And then yesterday, I saw someone walking by me. And it was fake. I was really, again, really stressed that day. This was even more realistic. It was normal shoes, normal pants, kind of. The pants were white. Who wears fully white pants? So like, it's not fully accurate, but like, I saw that. I'm not gonna question it. This is the only reason, like, the reason I'm not diagnosed with schizophrenia, and I don't think myself to be schizophrenic, is because I know these things are fake. When I see things like this, I don't think they're fake. The only reason I know they're fake is because they don't look realistic. People with schizophrenia see animals or they see people following them. If I saw a person following me, I'd think it was real. But these don't look like people. So I know they're fake. I know Fiddle is fake and the Peaker. All of it, they're not real. This thing, I thought it was real. And I tried ignoring it. I look over. No one's there. No one was walking up to me. I have, what was it again? Unspecified psychosis. That's what I got. In my diagnosis, they couldn't figure out what I was. They say because all of my distractions and being unfocused is inside my own head and not minor things around my environment, that I don't technically have ADHD. But that adds to generalized anxiety disorder, and maybe even the unspecified mood disorder that I have, which they couldn't say just yet was depressive disorder. Multiple times in person, my shrink has said I am very depressive or have depressive disorder. And in the report, I see depression and depressive disorder throughout it several times, but they don't call it that in the actual diagnosis. It's just unspecified mood disorder. I also think it's really funny how in my report, I didn't realize the type of stuff they were taking notes on. There was like one paragraph that was pretty much talking about how I was looking very depressive when I came in there. I didn't think I was depressive that day, honestly. That was a better week. Said I was very low energy and depressive. Lucky and in how I talk, although my talking was normal volume. However, I was appeared very happy and casual with my um skull gloves, quotation marks they put. I'm just now realizing these are skeletons. I don't know why they put skull. And all black attire. Casual, happy, on top of the depressive mood. That's the depressive. I don't know why. I found that funny when I read that. Yeah. Unspecified mood disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, unspecified psychosis. They don't know what I am. They couldn't figure it out. One of the pages literally says, I need a full evaluation with a therapist. Because they don't know what's going on. They have a general idea, but they don't know enough. There's a pillowcase under here. That's what I got out of it. And my shrink, I talked to him directly about how I'm fine with my mother knowing what I'm diagnosed with. I don't want her told about this stuff right next to me, though. I built the courage to talk about this stuff in the room. And the report says I was very cooperative. I was cooperative, yeah. But, like, made it seem like everything came easy to me. Took time for me to actually get used to it and settle in. But, like, the report makes me seem very sane and stable. And, like, that doesn't sound like me. Am I just delusional for thinking something's wrong with me since my parent report and teacher report and full report right there and everything that was observed of me during the whole thing seemed normal, but I didn't feel that way for any of it. Here's the thing. They used the same chart comparing my report with the other two reports, despite the fact that they were all different questions. Mine was about mental health and self-esteem. That's what I was given questions on to answer my self-report. The other two reports were cognitive abilities. I'm asked if I pay attention in class. I'm asked how often I get sick in class or something. I'm asked if I can walk on my own or answer to my name. That's not the same thing as having multiple questions on mine, like, I see things others can't see. Oh, sometimes I feel like I'm worthless. Oh, I just don't care anymore. Those are not the same types of questions. Why did you use the same chart for them on 3 pages? And the comparison? The teacher and parent report separately both showed my charts on no risk whatsoever. Meanwhile, for me, it showed all the spikes from at risk to, what was it, like, just that it's like really bad, you know. You really want to look at this stuff. All for myself. And even my shrink was talking about how, like, no one notices what's going on with me and what's up in here, and that's the important part. But they're never going to take mine as seriously as other people's, because I'm the one with the mental disorder. So, if you're asking me what it's like in my world, that's not always going to be correct. So they're just taking mine with a grain of salt, you know. They don't know what to think of me. They think of my action, not my experience. Because the way I tell you the experience might not be correct. I might not be a reliable source, apparently. Let me explain some of these. Very faded out now, but the drawing of the thing I saw in the corridor that I was talking about. Clothes I couldn't figure out. There's... Right here, I was already very upset walking out of my first block, and someone, like, as I was walking to my next class, into the next building, some random guy grabbed onto my bag and just kept pulling on it as he was walking by, to the point where the thing he was pulling on ripped off my bag and broke off. And his friend was laughing at him the whole time. And, like, that really pissed me off. The thing he was pulling was, like, a thing attached by a keychain onto my bag. It was made by my mother. And I was already upset. And I'm very often upset with my mother. So, I decided I didn't want to keep it anymore. Right after that, I don't want it anymore. So I gave it away later that day to Squimpy. Because I'm becoming really close with that person now. Very good friend of mine. Don't know if I just want to immediately say that's my best friend this year. Because I just now drifted from my last one. So I'm not going to say anything. Just, this is my friend. As are many other people. What would happen in the Truman Show if Truman became a suicidal teenager? What would they do on the show? It could happen to anyone. A lot of the stuff that was wrong with me, my shrink was explaining to my mother just, oh, this just happens a lot with people this age. And even, like, I think I accidentally wandered off from the topic. I was talking about how, like, I talked to my shrink about how I don't want to talk about this stuff in front of my parents. I don't want them knowing about this stuff I'm saying, and he voiced that. My mother was not happy about that. And then explains a bunch of stuff we talked about and asks me questions throughout that he wants me talking about in front of my mother. I don't want to explain this stuff. Let's not talk about, my vague self-harm that I talked about last time, or how I'm seeing things. Let's not talk about that. It's probably my longest event journal this era. Yeah, I also drew them again right here, pulling my bag. This is just like multiple things that happened that day. This is a lot from one day, mostly. Or maybe it was all in one day, I'm not entirely sure. It's possible. These two things I saw, I was having a really bad time in the wings, right before my scene was up. Stuff happened, and my friend Doodles is usually in the wings with me as well, and no one else is there for that play. So I heard noises behind me, or I thought I did, and I thought that was them, and I tried ignoring it, and just looking terrible. Way later, I look back. I see this thing. It's hard to see. I can't fully tell. Honestly, I won't even say if it's psychosis. It's possible it was just my eyesight messing with me because it was dark. Who knows? That's what I don't like about this. Because it's not, like, vivid enough to be schizophrenia, despite the fact that a lot of these are incredibly vivid. I can't tell what's, like, psychosis and what's just the dark. Pareidolia. This is becoming a long video. You guys doing some tasks as I'm in the background? Hope so. I hope somehow you can find a way to actually look through all of this if you're watching. Yeah, from this tall figure, I kept seeing it just like standing on the other side of the wings, moving so slightly as if it were a real living thing, but I couldn't tell what it was. I couldn't tell if I was seeing something that wasn't there, or if someone was actually standing there. And I just wasn't able to tell what was going on with them. So I kept trying to figure it out. I never figured it out. I was never able to get close enough to it. so it was really bugging me. My room's a bit of a mess right now. Don't worry about it. This part's falling off. Here's the thing. I also never called my tics Tourette's in the past, just because they have been looked at and people figured out that I have these. However, never talked to a neurologist, psychiatrist, psychologist, a therapist, none of that stuff before now. So no one ever gave it a name. They were always just tics. No one ever called them Tourette's. My report labels them as Tourette's disorder. So I don't know if I actually have Tourette's or if there's like other things that cause tics. Because they always asked if it was Tourette's specifically, as if nothing else can possibly cause tics. So I really don't know. I've never heard people say anything other than Tourette's for it. I could have accidentally misdiagnosed myself to them just because I have tics but never specified anything about them. Or maybe I just have Tourette's and I just now got them diagnosed. Who knows? Despite the fact that they've been annoying me for my entire life, and I've been so sick of them, and I still don't have any sort of medication for them. Remember how it went last time? I want to stop them somehow, but that's been on my mind way less than antidepressants, which I don't think I'm able to get anymore. Because I don't have depressive disorder, I don't think I'm able to get antidepressants. I'm not allowed to. I have to get some other thing that'll mellow down my mood when I'm having a bad day. That's in a very small dose because of my last experience. I'm not trusted anymore. Remember how it went last time? Prescription abuse. Oh, you can see some really bad self-esteem here. Every single insult word I could possibly call myself. You'll see somewhere else on here is it's going to be again, and also my friend Goob, we call him. We sometimes call him that. It's mostly me and my theater teacher, who apparently knows him from childhood. I drew them both that day. This is a long time ago. I was doing this page because I was sad about both of them. Squimpy was getting suicidal by that point, and Goob, I accidentally ruined a lot of things for him, and in the past, all of our friends ended up hating him, being really annoyed by him, so I was kind of his last one left from middle school, and everyone else he's friends with is from high school, and they all hated him after a while. Every single one of them. Gradually more and more, too. And I thought I ruined things for him because I thought I accidentally sent them out on him, and they were thanking so much for things they were going to do to him, and it really freaked me out. And it's like, fuck, I'm ruining everything for this guy. And however, like a week or two after, he settled things with a lot of them, so he's fine. You know, things not ruined for him. He's also starting to become like less lazy and having more of a goal. He didn't do very good. He doesn't do very good at school. He didn't like that, and he never had any sort of like plans past high school. He said he wanted to drop out when he becomes 16, and he I don't know, he didn't have any sort of plan. However, recently he told me he's not gonna drop out, and he's going to college for welding too. He has an actual plan too. He has an actual passion. I'm really happy for this guy that he's actually having a dream now and not gonna just immediately go to the streets by choice. This page. Pretty good page. All good stuff. Right here. Seems like a normal drawing. Just me and Squimpy, you know? Just because I felt like drawing this too that day. However, I did initially have the idea because this is when I first started learning about the whole Diet Coke bottle thing. Squimpy was, dissociating a lot to that day and not doing so good. So that's why she's literally spacing out there. Duolingo, shut up! What? I didn't know it could cover my screen like that. What? That was not a normal notification. Don't do it. Oh, also the worm that's on a string. That's there. She has a lot of those. Fun. I don't know if there's really much else to explain about a lot of these. I'm sorry, it feels really weird around here just because I move this part of my face a lot. Not even just out of expressions. My eyebrows tick a lot. And whenever they do that, I feel the need to like reverse them. So like then I do even more stress to right here and like they feel really weird. These things about to be muscular in a few years or something. Boy. I don't have much else to say now. I think that's all of it. It's weird, I was arguing with my mother a few times earlier today, very minorly. And after each of these, we didn't end it properly. And then it was just silence through a whole car ride. And then afterwards, very casual, very chill. It's weird how that kept happening. I'm on like okay terms with her today. Oh. Things happen. Honestly, I really hope someone watches through all of these videos, watches them all the way through, that is actually like a mental health professional. I have these on here just on the off chance that I'm able to show them to someone who's like full term gonna be having to research me and pay attention to me. And I can just show them these whenever we're not in a session. And then they can look through these to figure out stuff I wasn't able to explain. Just on the off chance that ever happens, you know? Because you never know. Sometimes I feel like this is like the Truman Show, everything's fake, and the reason I go through inexplainable up and downs between weeks in a way that doesn't seem normal and seems very invalidating is just the downs are the TV show trying to make things interesting, and the ups are to reverse all of that so I don't kill myself and end the series. Which only makes me feel like everything I was feeling is invalidated in my own head and makes my mental health worse. It doesn't help when I feel better. Because when I'm a better feeling person and I become a good person, I know that the version of me that was feeling terrible wouldn't want all this stuff overlooked that it was just thinking. So it's invalidating to my past self to just feel good now without an explanation or even figuring out what was going on before. So like, eh. Okay, what time is it? Should take a shower, probably. And clean my room on another day. How does this reflection work? Freaked out. Yeah, whatever.